Welcome back to another CNH Industrial Technical Training. Today we're going to be talking about the Easy Pilot Pro setup, and we're going to be using a T7-175 to set this up. So what the Easy Pilot Pro system is basically a hybrid between an Easy Pilot and a NAV900, and we basically communicate with a Pro 700 or Intel V4 in order to run this. So within the kit, you'll have all of the harnessing that's available for that specific platform kit. And if you have questions on supported machines, you can look online and find that information. So this allows you to tie between the NAV900 and then also the SAM200 motor that you'll have that will actually drive the steering column. Within this, you'll also have a power connector, and that power connector will give power to the SAM200 motor. You'll also have a NAV900, of course. It's a different NAV900 than an XCN 1050 install. So if you've done an XCN 1050 install, it's slightly different and they cannot be interchanged. You'll also have a steering wheel. This is pretty much the same steering wheel as a regular Easy Pilot system. And then you will have a spline kit based on your specific vehicle platform. So this is a T7 or a Puma kit that we're going to install. So if you wanted to, you could look online and find information related to the platform kit that you need in order to hook that up. The last thing that you'll need is the anti-rotation bracket, and this is within the platform kit as well. This is what's going to keep the SAM200 motor from turning while it's trying to steer the steering column. That's pretty much it as far as hardware. Now, for the software side, we will have to have the latest and greatest auto guidance software package that will include options for the Easy Pilot Pro system within the Intel V4 or Pro 700. So with that said, we will go ahead and get started and install this in this T7 tractor.
Okay, so the first step is to take the steering wheel off. So we're going to go ahead and take the cap off. This may vary between models, of course. We're going to go ahead and take the nut off of this. So we'll go ahead and loosen it. And this will allow us to take the center cap off of the steering wheel. From there we have a larger nut that we will go ahead and remove from the steering wheel. So we can use a socket and a ratchet for that. And then we have to have some type of a gear puller or a steering wheel puller in order to actually take the steering wheel off. Without that, it will be very difficult. From there, we will go ahead and move the covering from the steering column. There's several screws that you'll have to take out for this. This will include the ignition switch for this particular model. And be very careful with these. These are pretty fragile and they're a little bit difficult to get out because there's so much cabling and wiring in the steering column. So we'll go ahead and remove all of the screws that are on this side, and then we'll move to the other side. And these are pretty much carbon copies of one another. The Puma will be very similar of this particular vintage. Once we have that done, we are going to go ahead and pull the steering column to expand it, and then we're going to go ahead and remove the plastic covering. This is the part that is a little bit tricky just because of all of the harnessing. Plus, it's a pretty restricted area to take these out. The next step will be to assemble the anti-rotation bracket for your particular machine. This is platform dependent. So we'll go ahead and assemble this, then that way it's all together. And then once we get in the cab, all we have to do is clamp it on. Next step will be to take the spline assembly and attach it to the SAM200 motor. We want to make sure that we have the right one. There are some out there that have been mismanufactured, so it's something to be aware of. But this will be on your particular platform. The next step will be to put the pin for the anti-rotation bracket into the SAM 200 motor, so we're going to go ahead and attach it in a particular location. Then we are going to put the mount, the CNH mount, on the NAV 900. Something to be aware of is it does not come with a CNH mount. You do have to purchase that separately. Once we have that, we're going to go ahead and jump in the cab and attach our anti-rotation bracket. It's two simple Allen wrench keys or Allen wrench bolts that hold this on, and it just clamps directly to the column. Next step, we're going to go ahead and put in the SAM 200 motor. This is a pretty tight fit usually, but we're going to go ahead and put that in. We'll remove the original nut and we will put in one that comes with the platform kit along with the lock washer that comes in the kit as well. Once that's tightened down, we're going to go ahead and put the steering wheel that comes with the kit onto the SAM 200 motor. So we'll go ahead and tighten that down. We'll put our covering back on. In this case, I'm just going to leave these off just because this is a training video and I'm just going to be taking this right out. In an actual installation, we would have to cut a little slot into the cover so that the anti-rotation bracket can go through this. So the next thing I want to do is I want to take my cabling and then go ahead and connect it to the SAM 200 motor. And we're going to connect our power in the cab. This could be in or outside the cab depending upon the model. We'll go ahead and install the pigtail harness into the NAV 900 now. And once we have that done, we will go ahead and mount the NAV 900. One side of this harness goes into the roof harness, and then one side of the harness will actually plug into the electrical harness going to both the SAM 200 motor and the power connector. So we'll go ahead and plug this either into port A or port B depending upon the configuration. This is just a 12-pin Deutsch connector. And then the other 12-pin will actually plug into the long roof harness that goes to the power connector and the SAM 200. It's important to route this harness down and get it away from a lot of moving parts. So we'll go ahead and plug this harness together with the power connector going to the SAM 200. And that should be our last step as far as cabling. Now that we have our cabling set up, we need to go into our display and configure a few things. So we'll go into our toolbox and then go into the PF tab, and we want to change auto guidance and select Easy Pilot Pro. This will require a display reboot. And once we have it rebooted, we can go back to our toolbox again. And we want to make sure that NAV-S and GPS are set up. So we're going to change the GPS setting from 372 to NAV 900. And then when we go into NAV-S, we need to make sure that Easy Pilot Pro is selected. It's important to note in this screen, if you have a nav controller already in the vehicle, it needs to be unplugged. It's been a known problem in some software versions that if it's not unplugged, you will not have an Easy Pilot Pro option. Once we have everything configured, we need to navigate to the Diagnostics CAN screen in the display, and we want to make sure that everything is online. If you ever see it where you have GPS status but you don't have ability to see the NAV 900 or vice versa, there could be an issue there, and maybe there's a licensing issue or maybe the BB RAM in the receiver needs to be cleared. It's important to check connection types as well. The next thing we need to do is install the auto guidance license in the nav900. So we do that by going to our toolbox GPS and then scrolling down and assigning the license. The procedure for this is listed in the software operating guide for the auto guidance and the EasyPilot Pro software.